Welcome back to the deep dive. We got a really interesting set of sources from you exploring, well, something pretty fundamental: freedom and self-control.
Yeah, and when you really dig into them, you start to see this massive contradiction, almost like a cultural double bind that we're all navigating.
It really is. The sources point out these two huge kind of conflicting commands shaping things today. First, there's that push for, radical individualism, be free, break the rules.
Exactly, that whole ethos of do your own thing. But then right alongside it, you've got this colder idea, almost Darwinian, right? Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, the idea that life's a competition, a zero-sum game, and you got to be ruthless to win.
And here's where it gets messy. When you mush those two together, this desire for total freedom and the drive to win at all costs, you get this really toxic belief brewing.
What's that?
That real liberation, like true freedom, means you're free to just ignore any moral rules, be completely self-serving, that the undisciplined rogue, the one who cuts corners, that's the successful one.
Oh yeah, we've definitely seen that archetype push, haven't we? The person who lies, cheats, sees being decent as, I don't know, a weakness. It creates this myth that being undisciplined is somehow strong.
It's a dangerous myth.
Hmm.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To take that whole idea and, well, flip it.
Right. We want to use these sources to show why that kind of freedom is actually, it's an illusion. And that real liberation, the kind that lets you actually achieve things, comes from self-mastery.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, that initial feeling when you throw off constraints, it is powerful, intoxicating even. The sources call it the illusion of going rogue.
Mm-hmm. That moment you decide, nah, I'm not doing that, or I'm going to bend the rules here. There's this rush, a feeling of false power.
It comes from thinking you're smarter, right? Like you found a shortcut that binds everyone else. Oh, that deadline, that's for other people. Or my commitments, I'm too busy, too important.
Yeah, and the internal talk is so insidious, like you said. It starts small. I'll skip the gym today. I deserve a break, which feels fine, really.
Totally. Or maybe I'll just fudge these numbers a little. No one will know. It feels like a win in the moment, like you've beaten the system.
But, and this is the crucial bit from the sources that high is incredibly short-lived, that feeling of freedom, it morphs almost instantly
Into what?
into, as they phrase it, a different kind of prison.
Okay, wow. A prison you build yourself, essentially, with
Yeah.
the bricks of your own skipped workouts and bent rules.
Exactly. And we need to talk about the bars of that prison, these unseen chains of indiscipline, because that's the real cost.
So what's the first chain?
The first one is fundamental. You become a slave to your impulses. You basically lose your agency.
Meaning you're not choosing anymore.
Right. You stop being this, purposeful person steering your own ship. Instead, you're just reacting.
Yeah.
Reacting to whatever desire pops up loudest in your head.
Like laziness or anger or just that constant urge to check your phone.
Mm-hmm. You give in to the nearest craving, the easiest distraction. You're not deciding your actions anymore. Your fleeting desires are deciding for you. It's subtle, but you've outsourced your control.
Imagine trying to build something significant, like a business or, I don't know, run a marathon, when you're constantly hijacked by the urge for instant gratification.
It's impossible. The long-term goal requires consistent effort, dedication. But that can't compete with the immediate dopamine hit of scrolling social media or grabbing that unhealthy snack. You lose the capacity for deep work, for commitment.
Okay, so you're chained by your own impulses. That makes sense. What's next?
Well, that leads directly to the second chain, the external consequences. This is the practical stuff, the real-world fallout.
This isn't just about feeling guilty then. This is about things actually falling apart.
Absolutely. Think about trust. In pretty much any important area of life, work, relationships, trust is like the essential currency.
Yeah, you can't build anything lasting without it.
Exactly. So when you constantly break promises or you lie to get ahead, maybe you gain a tiny advantage right now, but what you're actually doing is destroying that trust. You're burning the very bridges you need for any kind of significant long-term success.
And in a competitive world, that's killer. Maybe you cheat and win one deal.
But then nobody wants to partner with you on the next 10 deals.
Yeah.
Because you're unreliable, you're a risk. It's not just about friendships. It's about your career hitting a ceiling because nobody trusts you enough to give you real responsibility.
Let's talk specifics, like money. The sources mention finances. That feeling of, I can buy whatever I want, feels freeing, right? That impulse buy.
Feels great for 5 minutes. But that $30 you spent without thinking, that's maybe debt you're carrying now. Or it's $30 you don't have for something important later. It's an opportunity cost.
And that debt or that lack of savings, that becomes its own chain, doesn't it? It
Mhm.
limits your options down the road. Maybe you can't switch jobs or go back to school or handle an emergency.
Precisely. You've traded this big potential future freedom, the freedom of having choices, of stability, for a tiny little hit of immediate pleasure. The overall cost just keeps adding up.
Okay, so impulses, then consequences. What's the third chain?
The third one is maybe the most profound, strategically speaking. It's short-term thinking. When you really boil it down, almost every act of indiscipline, every unethical shortcut, it's always about prioritizing right now over the future.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, because this highlights the real sacrifice you're making. You're literally trading the amazing life you could build 5, 10 years from now, the successful career, the good health, the strong relationships, you're trading all of that potential.
For what? A fleeting bit of comfort or pleasure today? Wow.
Right, so when people invoke survival of the fittest to justify cutting corners, the sources argue that's completely wrong. Letting your immediate impulses run your life isn't a winning strategy. It's not strength.
What is it then?
They call it, quite pointedly, survival of the fastest acting impulse. You're just surviving the moment. Your brain screamed for sugar or distraction or avoiding something difficult, and that won. You survived the urge, maybe.
But you failed the long-term project, the project of building a meaningful life.
Exactly. You're winning tiny battles while completely losing the war for your own future.
Okay, but hang on a second. Let's be real. Sometimes ruthlessness does seem to pay off, at least initially, right? We see people cut corners, maybe act unethically, and they get rich or famous fast. How do the sources account for that?
That's a really important point. And the sources don't deny that those short-term wins can happen. You can get ahead quickly sometimes by being undisciplined or unethical.
Those does work.
It can work for a while, but the sources stress how incredibly fragile those kinds of successes are. Think about it. If your success is built on lies or broken promises or cutting corners, what does that require?
Constant vigilance. Always looking over your shoulder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to constantly manage the cover-up, worry about getting exposed. It's like building, I don't know, a mansion on quicksand. It might look impressive for a bit, but it's fundamentally unstable. They can't handle any real pressure.
Which brings us to the big reframe then. We need to stop thinking of self-discipline as this negative thing, like chains holding us back.
Yes. That's the cultural script we need to flip. Discipline isn't the prison. Indiscipline is the prison. Discipline needs to be seen as the tools that let you actually build the life you genuinely want.
So it's not about suppression.
No, it's about direction. It's the power to pause between an impulse and your action, and to choose. The core idea they present is simple but powerful. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want right now.
And when you live that way, that's when you find genuine freedom, true freedom, the kind that comes from being able to actually direct your own life, your time, your energy, your resources towards goals that matter to you.
Think about it practically. Who is actually more free? The person who lied their way into a job and is now constantly stressed, covering their tracks, maybe financially unstable because of impulsive spending.
Or the person who was honest, worked diligently, built a solid reputation, maybe saved consistently, their life is probably more stable, predictable. They have more options.
Right. The person drowning in debt or paralyzed by procrastination literally cannot chase certain dreams or opportunities. They don't have the freedom to move. The disciplined person, the one who did the hard things consistently, they earned the freedom of choice, the freedom of stability, the freedom to pursue bigger things precisely because they prepared for it.
They have operational freedom. They can actually execute on complex plans.
Which the impulsive person gave up maybe years ago without even realizing it.
Okay, let's circle back then to that competitive society idea. If life is a competition, if it's about individual success, what's the real competitive edge according to these sources? Is it still being ruthless?
This is where it all connects to the bigger picture. And the answer is a clear no. The sources argue compellingly that the true, sustainable competitive advantage isn't ruthlessness or cheating.
It's
being reliable, being capable, being trustworthy.
And those things, they aren't accidents. They're built entirely through consistent self-discipline, aren't they? Reliability comes from choosing to follow through, even when it's inconvenient. Capability comes from showing up and putting in the work, day after day.
They talk about network stability. You don't ultimately win by being the aggressive lone wolf who alienates everyone. You win by becoming the person everyone else can count on. The reliable, trustworthy person becomes indispensable. They attract the best opportunities, the best partners.
Because people aren't afraid to bet on them.
Exactly. The payoff isn't just short-term gain, it's long-term stability and the ability to scale your success. You build a foundation that's solid rock, not sand. You achieve a higher, more sustainable kind of success, and frankly, probably happiness too.
Because you're not constantly fighting fires you started yourself. You don't have that low-level anxiety of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
You've built social capital, a high-trust reputation, and in any complex human endeavor, that is the ultimate accelerant. You gain power through cooperation and alliance, not just through brute force or deception.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I think the core message is this paradox. Chasing that idea of absolute do whatever I want freedom, it actually leads straight into slavery. Slavery to your impulses, slavery to the consequences.
While the harder path, the voluntary choice to apply self-discipline, that's what leads to real, lasting freedom. It gives you options. It gives you control. It gives you the highest competitive edge.
Don't mistake the weakness of just giving in for the strength of being truly free. Real liberation isn't about tearing things down. It's about building yourself up, mastering yourself.
It's a fundamental shift in how you see things. Discipline isn't the obstacle to the life you want. It's the only path to get there.
It's the prerequisite, the non-negotiable foundation.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something from the sources to chew on this week. Imagine if everyone, or even just most people, really embrace this. If we all prioritize long-term value and self-mastery over immediate instinct, would that change the whole competitive game of society itself, make it better?
Something to ponder, definitely. And maybe more practically, think about this. What's one small act of self-discipline you could commit to starting today, maybe this week, that serves the person you really want to be 5 years from now? Just one small thing. Start building those tools.